Hey everybody, this is iLad, and I would like to welcome you back to my Starmade tutorial series. In this series of fairly short videos, we're going to be exploring mostly Starmade logic systems, but also Starmade ship systems, and introducing people to the wonderful world of making really interesting crap in Starmade. Hey guys, let's talk about how to build ships in Starmade. This is a big topic. Saying I'm going to call this tutorial How to Build Ships in Starmade is almost the same thing as saying I'm going to teach you how to play Starmade in one video. So I'm gonna be super fast and start with the most basics, and then kind of just like touch on the minimal info on each system that goes into a ship, and then we'll we can expand on that as need be in other videos. The most basic, the one thing that every ship has to have, or it's not a ship, is a core. And with default controls, you can spawn in a new ship core, assuming you have one in your inventory, by pressing X. That gives you a dialog where you can name it. Demonstration. That's what we're going to call it. The USS Demonstration. Yeah. Where's my cursor? Is it? Yeah. USS Demonstration. Cool. That's almost a Star Trek-y sounding name, right? Alright, so your ship you can enter by pressing R or whatever you've got assigned to your action key. I'm in build mode right away. I can hit spacebar to jump into flight mode, and in flight mode I can zip around. Just the core, nothing else. That's all there is to it. Boom, I've got a ship. Video done, right? Not quite. Obviously, there's a lot more that really needs to go into a ship, because a ship core by itself is not what you'd call super functional. So let me hop back into build mode. Right, let's start with thruster. Let me slap a thruster on here. And then if I hop back into flight mode, you can see, ooh, I'm going so much faster. It's like redonkulously fast compared to what I was doing before. But I'm holding forward as hard as I can. When it's a keyboard, it's either like on or off. And even though I can very quickly accelerate, or I could, now all of a sudden, weirdly, it's taken me a while to change my speed at all. Which is pretty bizarre, actually, considering how fast I was when I first started. That's super weird. Okay, so this is how it's supposed to go. I think the game was lagging and hadn't realized. Oh yeah, I just added a crap ton of mass to this ship. Or something. I don't know. That's bizarre. So anyway, there's a lot that's going in here, and one of the things that is happening is I've got this thruster that is consuming power, and I have no freaking power. Right? Let me zap some more thrusters on here. Yeah. Jump back into flight mode. And even with 5 times as many thrusters, it's like, dude, where's all your thrust? And the answer is the thrust is being bottlenecked by the power. Okay, pretty straightforward. So, back in build mode, and I'm going to cut all these thrusters out of here, and we're going to stick in a power reactor instead. Let's try 1 reactor, 2 thrusters. Okay, that's more like it. I think this is accurate. Like, I don't think this is the game screwing up again. You see I'm changing speed very, very quickly. Alright, so let's say we want, we've got our 1 reactor power module, and we want a whole lot of thrust. Man, we want to go soups fast, right? We're going to just build us a nice long thruster here. And, oh, yep, there we go. Okay, so we are unable to maintain a steady power supply anytime we're changing speeds because it's draining too much power out of our system. That 1 reactor block is not going to do this. Alright, so what do we need? Let's see. Let me Well, I'll just come up here and we'll make ourselves a bigger reactor chamber. Bigger ships are going to need bigger reactors. I think that makes sense, yeah? Okay. And we're stable again, yeah? Not a problem. So what happens if you want a really big ship with a really big thruster? Because your ship is nice and heavy. It's like the ship I'm building there, the ship I've got docked over here. And it's just a big old chonker, and you're going to need a lot of thrust to move it. Well, obviously, you're going to need a lot of power to supply that thrust, right? Yeah? Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. However, if you point at this with a part of the power system selected on your hotbar, you see that it says total stabilization is at 55.6%. Oh, what does that mean? Well, that means that actually you've built this thing too big, and now the game is looking for you to stabilize its power capacity. Because larger reactors are, I guess, in the game lore, supposedly unstable? This is part of an upgrade to Starmade that was called Power 2.0. Now, it's important that you realize there are a fair number of tutorials out here on the YouTubes that show you how to build ships, and a lot of them are pre-Power 2.0. And so they're going to have, I'm not making this up, they're going to have stuff like, okay, so what you got to do is you got to build lines of power blocks that extend in as many dimensions as you have room for, but they need to just be single lines. Don't go too wide like this. Oh no, that's a big no. And they'll have you building crazy shapes like this. That's Power 1.0, okay? We're not doing Power 1.0 anymore. We're in Power 2.0. Really, it's more like Power 2.1 or 2.2, but I'll get to that in a second. So blocks of reactors are totally fine. This is ideal. In fact, you kind of want to compress it into a fairly coherent shape like this instead of doing weird spaghetti. But you do have to balance that out with what we call reactor stabilizers. Okay, so like right now, this chunk, it says it's 55.6% stabilized. Watch what happens when I add a single one of these blocks. 61.1%, 66.7, 72.2, 77.8, 83.3, 88.9, 94.4, 100. All right, so we've got 8 blocks here, stabilizing 18 of the original reactor blocks. And I believe this formula holds up over time. Let's see. That's 24. That's 30. This is 36. This is 42. Yeah. And then I believe we're going to need 32 reactor stabilizer blocks. That's going to be same number of blocks minus 10. So there's your 18, 27, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I didn't place it where I wanted it. It doesn't matter. I'm just going for symmetry here. But yeah, 32 blocks gives us 100% stabilization. So basically, however many blocks you got here, minus 10, that's how many stabilizer blocks you're going to need. Again, there are a few tutorials out on the internet. People had kind of slacked off making tutorials for this when Power 2.0 rolled out. But there is information out there that talks about, oh no, you can't have your stabilizers right up against the power cord. Yeah, you can. That rule was done away with a while back, actually. And you gotta run these special blocks to connect this weird pipeline of flowing lava from this to this. Yeah, that energy beam thing, that's not there anymore either. Don't worry about it. If you haven't seen it, it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. If you do see videos like that or tutorials like that, That stuff is not in the game anymore. This is a perfectly fine configuration. And then there's also information out there about, like, well, you get a bigger benefit out of your reactors, or out of your stabilizers, if you arrange them in multiple axes configurations. Like this one is behind the main reactor. If there was one in front, you'd get more efficient usage. Watch how long it takes me to get to 100% stabilization. 4, 5. I still had to add the 5 blocks that I just took away back here in order to reach 100% stabilization. Even though this group is behind, this group is in front. That system doesn't exist. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Just know that you need this many blocks minus 10 in your stabilizer group in order to have full stabilization. So ILED, well, you keep talking about stabilization. What does stabilization mean, son? Here, I'll show you. Yeah, let me take these out again. So right now we're at 88.1% stabilized, right? So I can open this up. Our power output is... Oh, it's in here somewhere. Oh, yeah. Stats. Our power output is 5,550 energy per second of recharge, right? And that's recharge is all we're doing. We don't have capacitors anymore. If you're watching a tutorial that involves capacitors, you're either watching an out-of-date video or this one's already out of date because somebody's decided to add them back in. I wish they would. But check and see which video is older and follow the newer one. Right now, capacity isn't a thing, so we're only talking about recharge rate, okay? So 5550, right? If I fully stabilize this, I'm not adding more reactors, I'm not adding more energy production, but just by stabilizing it, the production that I already had is now all the way up to 6,300. So if you're not fully stabilized, you're actually losing efficiency out of these that you should be getting. So that's essentially what that is. And to be clear, again, the recharge is coming only from the reactors, not from the stabilizers. But the reactors have to be stabilized in order to provide their full output. Does that make sense? Probably not. Anyway, just take my word for it. However many blocks you got in your reactor group, you need that many minus 10 in your stabilizer group. Hey, what if I have these split into more than one group? Don't do that. Only one power core, only one group can be active at a time. There is no logical reason to have more than one power core in a ship. And that is the entire ship, including all docked entities. Yeah. Alright, so we've got a nice big reactor. We've got it fully stabilized. We could add on a ton more thrust. By the way, we're going to need... Actually, this is still really good acceleration. That's fantastic. It doesn't take much thrust to counterbalance a decent-sized reactor. Okay, that's good to know. So what do we got? The core. Have to have that. It's not a ship without a core. We've got power. Need that. You can't really run anything without a core. Got that core power core. We've got that power reactor stabilized to make sure that we're getting maximum efficiency out of it. We've got thrust so that we can move. Remember how the ship core block had thrust all by itself without me adding any thrusters? Watch what happens when I take all the thrusters off. Yeah. Actually, I can accelerate. Watch my acceleration on the bar over there on the right. But it's so slow. Yeah, I'm not going to get anywhere. So you really need the thrusters. Right? That's really all you need. Notice that it does take me a minute to slow down. It takes me a while to get up to speed. More thrust is going to speed up acceleration and deceleration. Yeah. Let's see, get it even more here. See? That's the benefit of more thrust. Alright, you're going into a combat situation. You're going to want something other than core, power, stabilization, and thrusters. Specifically, you may want shields. Okay, so we've got a shield recharger here. The shield recharger, let's see, where do I want to slap this? Let's just knock out some of the thrust here. Slap it right here. As soon as I place the first recharger, we've got a bubble around the ship. Guess what that bubble is? If you guessed that bubble is the shield, you're wrong. The shield is actually right up on the surface of the blocks. Each block is shielded if the block is within the bubble. This is its area of effect. It's not the actual shield. Like, you're not going to see shots bounce off right here. You're going to see them hit the actual ship, and then you're going to see a shielding effect, right? If any part of the ship sticks out past the shield, it's not going to be protected. That's kind of a pointless statement, because look what happens as soon as I add a second recharge into the same group. Bigger, 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 bigger. Like, it's so easy to make sure that your bubble is big enough to encompass the whole ship. All you got to do is make a big enough group of rechargers. And even when it's just one, it's still a pretty freaking big bubble relative to the size of the ship. Yeah? Yeah. You can have more than one of these groups, unlike with the power core. So, like, I could, let me just go ahead and, like, get the thruster all the way back here. Then I could slap on another one of these, get a second bubble. Stuff that's in the overlap is only going to be protected once, not twice. There's no stacking effect, but you can definitely include another group to include more of the ship. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the shield recharger. So what that does basically, if I go into flight mode, you see over the yellow bar. It's well, I don't know why there's a broken character in the shield percentage. But anyway, in theory, like that recharger is filling up that yellow bar over there. That's kind of grayed out. In reality, what I need is a shield capacitor to hold the shield energy that's being dumped into it from the recharger. Now you see the yellow bar filling up. It obviously fills up much faster if I have more rechargers. Yeah. Kind of a no-brainer. Don't ask me why it reset there for a second. I have no idea. If I double the amount of capacity, then it's got to sort of grow. Like it's got to fill up a deeper container, I guess. Yeah. You want lots of both. So the capacity means that it's going to take more to drop your shields down to 0. But when your shields are down a little bit, the recharge amount is what's going to actually get them filled up faster. Yeah, so it's kind of a balancing act. Do you want more shields before you lose shielding, or do you want to fill up your deficit even faster? Both. Always both. Yeah. Alright, so that's your shields. Then we have striking back capability. We have weapons. Yeah, we've got cannons, missiles, and a couple other weapons. I'm going to stick to cannons now just for the easiest possible example of what this is like. So your weapon systems typically are going to consist of two types of blocks. We've got computers and we've got the actual weapon modules. Each individual weapon is going to have one computer. I'm going to go ahead and slap that down. You can see that it's selected orange. That's the master. And then it's going to be linked to the actual weapon module. I'm just going to put one down for now. You can put an arbitrary number of these, at least until you run out of power to power them. For now, we're just going to keep it simple. So master and, well, slave is the old school language for that. The cannon computer, whichever way you are facing to look straight on at the screen, that's the direction the shot is going to shoot. So if I had instead placed the cannon computer like, whoa, like this, it doesn't matter that the barrel is pointed that way. It's going to shoot that way. Yeah, it's 100% in the orientation of the computer. So we jump into the ship. We hit G to assign stuff to our hotbar down here. I'm going to go ahead and just drag the cannon computer in. Talk about this stuff later. And by simply clicking it, you can see me shooting. Let's go shoot an asteroid. Whoa. By the way, when you're flying, pointing back or like thrusting backward is faster than simply holding shift to brake. Okay, I'm not doing very much damage, am I? Let's see. Oh, that's ice. I can crack ice with a cannon. A couple of shots. It's not so bad. In fact, it's even got some penetration or some acid damage. Because I seem to damage an adjacent block. Yeah, see that? That's cool. What if I want to do damage faster? Well, if I want to do damage faster, I'm going to need more cannon modules. We can actually put it behind the computer. It's going to shoot right through the computer with no trouble. Not going to be a thing. Well, that was unexpected. I thought it was going to... I knew I didn't have enough to do a whole 100 long line, but I thought it was going to start from here. Rather than starting way back there. Alright, so let's see what kind of penetration we get here. Yeah, icy patch right here. Go into build mode so that I can kind of ghost into this. Not much penetration, actually. Oh yeah, that's it. See, it comes all the way in here. Takes out this whole line. Ignore the debris that's still in the way there, but yeah. A different system you might put on that works very much like a weapon is a salvage beam. Okay, so I've got a nice little salvage computer there. It works exactly the same way the cannon computer did. And I'm going to drop on a line of 7 salvage modules. 7 or 8 of these is actually as much as you ever want in a group. There's absolutely, in this version of the game, there's absolutely no benefit to going any heavier at all with your salvage group. Now, where'd that asteroid go? But I didn't destroy the dang thing. Where'd it go? There it is. Why the crap is it not showing up? Visually, I should be able to see the dang thing. There we go. And I know this sector of space really well. I knew it was right there. Alright, salvage beam. So, I'm going to hit G to assign it to my hotbar. Drag the salvage computer on here. And boom. Let's salvage some stuff, yeah? Notice the little, like, clock animation on the icon? There is a cooldown on a salvage beam. This is slightly misleading because actually if I just hold it down, it's fine. So I don't know, I think the countdown should probably be like, or the cooldown should be fixed. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually mining the asteroid. Instead of simply destroying the blocks, what I was doing with the cannon, the blocks are actually going into my inventory. So here's the ice block, there's the stone block that makes up the asteroid, and here's the minerals that I'm getting out of these little thingies right here, where you can see the ores. So yeah. So this is how you get your raw materials. It's the preferred way to get your raw materials. Let me show you how I can do this faster. You see how all of these blocks are actually physically touching each other, right? So this is what we call a group. I've been using the term, but I didn't really define the term. If I add more blocks that are still touching this, it's still going to be a group. So it doesn't matter how many barrels I have. Those are cannon, not salvage. Let's go back where I actually have salvage barrels. It doesn't matter how many apparent openings I seem to have visually. What you have is each group only puts out one projectile or one beam or one whatever. What you want, if you want to do more than that, is to have multiple groups. So check this out. Here I've got a group of, what is that, 5, 6, 7 more in this group, and that's separate, and I've got 7 more in this group, and that's separate. They're separate because they're not physically contacting each other. But now, if I turn and fire off my salvage thing, we've got 3 beams instead of just 1. On my actual mining ship right here, I have... Oh, hey. There we go. Each one of these is a decorative thing that, if you can look behind it, is covering up a group of salvage blocks. So I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 40 groups in here. But wait, Ilad, those are touching. How come they're touching? You said they couldn't touch, because then they'd all be the same group. I'll show you. Oh. You can do this with any of the weapon systems. Build mode? Whoa. Back into flight mode? Why? Give me build. And also, stop moving. Alright, let me just break these out here. I'm going to put... there. Oh no. I'm not using salvage. Frustration. But now I'm using salvage. Alright, so I've got 3 separate groups here, right? And get back into my cargo. And I've got 2 more groups here, yeah? And now I can do this, whoops. And I can do 3 more groups. So right now I've got 8 groups, and they are all separate groups because they are not physically touching. This is called waffling, okay? Now, that's not what you just saw. Right? If you don't know how I did that, you're still confused, right? Let me show you what you just saw. I'm going to put down a second salvage computer. I don't care where, let's just pop it there. And with it selected, I'm going to lay down more groups of salvage modules. So I'm going to waffle them in such a way that they fill in the gaps from the first waffle. So. Okay. Because they're on a separate computer, it does not count. Like, they don't magically join into one group because they're linked to a different computer. So we've got these, and we've got these. Does it make sense? They're sort of interlaced with each other, yeah? And when I go to fire them, really I can only have, let's see, in flight mode, you can only fire one computer at a time. It looks like a big beam because there's a whole bunch of beams in close proximity to each other. But what I can do is I can set up this little logic block. It's very easy to use. It's called an intership remote. Where are my intership remotes? Yeah, right here. Yeah, intership remote. Set that up. C and V to link both cannon computers to it. And I'm gonna, whoa. I'm supposed to be able to hit R on it to name it. What's going on here? Why is that a button? It's supposed to be an inner ship remote. I suffer from my art. Dang. Inner ship remote. Thank you. V and V. Now I hit R on it, and I can say salvage. Get back into flight mode. Notice that the salvage computers have disappeared because they've been linked to logic. I can't link into the hotbar anymore. I can grab the salvage inner ship remote down here. Now, see if I can remember how to back out of ship view here. There we go. Yeah. Now, when I fire this off by selecting the salvage inner ship remote, it's going to fire both computers at once. Which means all, what is that, 15 in this chunk? All 15 groups are going to fire all at once. Oh yeah. Again, you can do this with any of your weapon systems. Also, pro tip, you're going to run into some tutorials that talk about, okay, so if you want to do this and you want to keep them firing constantly, you've got to link them to a Canon computer, and you've got to set up a clock so it keeps firing at this specific rate. No, you don't. The inner ship remote, you click it once to turn it on, you click it again to turn it off. As long as it's on, your systems are going to keep firing. That's a change. Those videos weren't wrong when they were made. They're wrong now. They're outdated. So let's go here and I'll show you what this is going to do. Look at it melting that asteroid. Isn't that so lovely? Chambers. This is a Power 2.0 thing. It's also a pain in the butt. I don't think anybody likes chambers so much, but they are recognized as being a more or less necessary evil. So it is what it is. They all work on a pretty similar system, but they all have different effects. In addition to the chamber types, I also need a conduit. There we go. That's this kind of conduit. This one is purely decorative. You need this kind. Reactor conduit. Alright, so basically the reactor conduit is a way to physically link the reactor power blocks to whatever chamber you're going to use it with. You've got to have the conduit in between the reactors and the chambers. So what are chambers? Chambers add various effects to a ship. I'm not going to get deep into this. I just want you to know kind of how it works. I don't remember what the formula is for how big does the chamber have to be. We're going to try it with just one right here. It always depends on the size of the actual power core. And I can't remember what the formula might be. Alright, so with a logistics chamber attached via conduit to the power core, we've got, we can do stuff with the logistics. Oh, yes, this one. So I click it, and it's got a menu of options that I can pick from. Minimum size required equals 0. That means that the one block chamber is actually fine. If I had a much bigger reactor, I might need 20 or 100 chamber blocks instead of just one in the group. Right? Obviously, minimum size required 0. You gotta have one or you can't activate this thing. But specify chamber. What do I want to turn that chamber into? Well, let's say I want to turn it into a mining bonus. Cool. Okay, so now I'm going to get... What does it say? Increase the ore and shard resource yield for each resource block mined. I'm going to get more resources out of mining asteroids. Yeah, pretty cool. Good stuff. You see this meter here. As soon as I specify what the chamber is going to do, it starts filling it up. Reactor capacity 10% used. If I hit level up on this, Now I've tripled how much reactor capacity I'm using. Maybe I don't want that, so let's level it down. Right? Once you fill it up all the way to 100%, you can't do anything else. You can't add any more effects with chambers. Alright, so when I selected mining bonus 1, you see that there's actually also a mining bonus 2 here. It's a chamber upgrade. So basically, I can hit level up, and now I've got mining bonus 2, which obviously has a bigger impact than mining bonus 1. Make sense? Awesome. What else can you do with the logistics chamber? You can reduce the amount of time your shields have to be down in order to use the transporter. You can improve your factory power efficiency on a station, or decrease the amount of time you need to produce a block in your factories. You can do stuff. Right? Yeah, you can do stuff. Defense chamber is going to affect your shields. Let's do this. Let's do shields. Alright. Look at this. There is stuff here. Alright. Alright, so let's see what we can do with this. So we've got reactor defense chambers. And look, it's a more complicated tree. Okay, so what we had with the logistics chamber, we had like level 1, and then we had a green line in level 2. So what the green line means is that if you want to get this bonus, all you got to actually do is hit the level up button in the interface like we did. This line is a little more involved. Do you notice that the line kind of mimics the texture of the conduit? That was good design, because that's exactly how we're going to do this. Basically, we need to trace or recreate this tree using conduits and more chambers. When I first do a defense chamber, my only two options are base armor enhancement and base shield enhancement. Right? I can't choose heat armor 1. It's unclickable. But I can choose base armor enhancement. Okay. Cool. So how does this work? How do I get from base armor enhancement down to heat armor? Well, I do this. I make a conduit to another chamber. So I grab the conduit again. And look, I know it's trust to make the conduit look like it's pointing in a certain direction. It does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. You can turn corners with them too, by the way. It does not matter. Look. Stop it. See? You can... Oh, I'm out of conduits. That's bizarre. You can make it turn all kinds of corners. Turn off symmetry. And that. It doesn't matter as long as there's a connection path there. But now I can say, hey, this second chamber here, connected through conduit, I don't know why it's yellow, don't ask, is I can specify that as one of these now. As I've fulfilled this one, so now I'm down farther on the tree. Let's say kinetic armor. Okay, cool. Now I've got a kinetic armor. Now back on our tree, there's a kinetic armor too. Notice it's not connected through a conduit line. It's just one of these little green lines. Let's just hit level up. That's all it is. Boom. Now it's kinetic armor too. But what if I also want to like improve the shields? Hey, no sweat. No sweat at all. I'm just going to create a shorter conduit so I have a few more blocks to work with. I'm going to create a whole new conduit tree. And this one, specify chamber, we go over base shield enhancement. Okay. And that does have an effect. It adds 10% to shield's capacity, recharge rate, etc. But if I want to get the specialized shield effects, it's going to be another conduit and another chamber to continue on down the tree, right? Yeah, shield outage redux 1. So I can reduce the amount of time that the shields sort of freeze their cooldown time before they recharge again. And I can level that up. Boom. And I can then continue, and I can add some reactor power chamber effects and some reactor mobility chamber effects. But regardless of how I do it, see, I can choose top level stuff. If I've got a conduit line, then I've got to build a secondary chamber connected with the conduit to the first one, and then start working my way down the upgrade tree. Let's see, there's I don't have all the chamber types made. Actually, there's more than 5. I said 5 earlier. Stealth chamber, You start out with a simple stealth drive enabled, and then you can branch out and specialize that. The recon chamber, the scanners told you that. Mass chamber, just gonna create different effects for the astronaut mode. FTL chamber is gonna do different stuff for your faster than light travel, and so on. Like I said, I'm not going through all of that. That's your chambers. That's what your conduits and chambers are for and how they work. Again, not everybody's favorite system. They are what they are. It's part of Power 2.0. Am I missing anything? I think I've pretty well covered the ship systems except for the functions that are built in. So let's do that one. In flight mode, hit G to get my hotbar up. Jump drive. Scanner. Activation beam. I don't have any of these systems added as blocks, but they all exist anyway. They're kind of built into the core. At least at the time of making this video, that's the case. Again, not everybody is happy with this change. So, you know, it is what it is. Jump drive. Basically, right now it does nothing, but if I hold down left click while it's selected on the hotbar, I'm charging it. If I release the mouse button, it stops charging. I'll have to go back into it to finish charging it. Once it is completely done, I can fire it off again to travel faster than light. Boom. All right. Right click on icon to jump. Don't know of a safe direction necessarily, so let's just hope we get lucky. Boom. Countdown, get a faster than light effect. Show up right on top of the pirate base. Oh, I didn't. That's wonderful. Okay. I figured I would. So I'm going to charge it back up again, head back home, and I'll be right with y'all. The distance is predetermined. If you actually have a destination selected and it's within your distance radius, you're going to show up there. If you don't have a destination selected, or if your destination is outside of your actual radius, you can jump as far as it'll let you in the direction that you're pointing, or in the direction or in the path toward your destination, whichever. And then you're going to have to jump again. Right now I've got path plotted back to my home base, and I know it's within my radius because I just made that jump. So jumping exactly there, it says. Boom. And there we are. You're not always going to come out at a specific point within the sector you're jumping into. It's going to be a bit random, I think. Scanner computer. This one can auto charge. And you saw that control come up. Turn auto charge on or off. That's cool. Once it's charged up, just like with the jump drive, I can right click and it'll scan. And the scanning does different things depending on how you have it set up with your chambers. It does help reveal stuff in your sector and whatnot, things like that, or in your in the system you're in. Activation module. Activation module normally shoots a beam. Why is it not shooting a beam? Let me check this out. What I'm doing is I'm shooting these lights with an invisible beam. It's supposed to be visible. What if I do... Can I see it from out here? Let me zoom out a bit more. No, it's legitimately not rendering the line. I don't know if that's a permanent, a universal thing, or if it just happens that my game has temporarily decided to not render beams anymore. It happens. But basically you can use it to turn stuff on and off. I can use it to trigger force fields. Yeah, like that. I can use it to trigger switches. Oh yeah, like that. don't remember what that's wired to. And then the last thing, yeah, the last ship system that I should have gone over, pretty freaking important, is the docker. And I've mentioned this in previous videos. So it's not like the first time I'm going over it, but the docker, rail docker, works or looks like this. And what you can do with it is you can either get it within close proximity to a rail pickup, or you can assign it to your hotbar and actually send out a docking beam. And if it contacts a rail that's in a compatible position, turned on, faction the same, all the good stuff. We'll talk about faction stuff in another video. As long as it hits a compatible beam, you should be good. And I can't dock to that one because the structure doesn't fit. It's too long to fit in the doorway, actually. Let me change the orientation of it and we'll get this. See, I need it on the bottom. Facing forward. Okay, assign it again since I broke it. And there we go. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's all your critical ship systems. We had our weapons, we had our shield, we had our yada yada, and our blah blah, and our pluffy blue. Yeah, we're in good shape. So that's your basic stuff to build ships. And there's so much more you can do with them that I did not cover here. So much more. And that's okay. We're not going to worry about all this so much more today because you now have a basic understanding of what you're doing. Right? Well, if not, get out there and try building a ship. Once you've done that, and you've gotten, to fly around, and you've gotten to shoot some things, you've possibly even, who knows, maybe docked to a thing or two. Anything's possible. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been entertaining, informative, generally useful to you. And if not, then I'm very sorry, but I hope you'll join me back for the next one in any case. So, thank y'all so much. Y'all take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, consider purchasing a channel membership. We've got very, very low monthly rates, and your support in that way would be gratefully, gratefully accepted. Thank you so much for considering it. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.